Chapter 13. The airport was an hour and a half's drive from Blyersville. Molly sat in the back of the minibus, stroking Petula and looking out the window at the countryside shooting by. She drank it all in, not sure when she should be seeing it again. She wasn't bothered if she ever never came back, nor did she care that she didn't really know where in America she was going. She felt strong, rich, and eager to see the world, and determined to find Rocky. Miss Adderstone drove fast and furiously to the airport, and she and Edna helped Molly out of the minibus. They seemed almost sweet now as they stood huddled together, Miss Adderstone in her snipped-up suit with her knickers on her head, and Edna in a tight-fitting, Italian-looking raincoat. They dabbed their eyes with hankies. Edna's had a map of Italy sewn on. "Oh, Molly, we'll bleedin' well miss ya," Edna said weepily. "Best of luck, Molly dear," Miss Adderstone sniffed. "Thank you," Molly said cheerfully. Petula gave Miss Adderstone a dirty dog look. "Send us a postcard. Do keep in touch." Molly nodded. Then she decided to give each of them a farewell present. She clapped once, and both went into a deep trance. "Now, listen carefully, you two. I'm going to give you some new interests so your lives will get more interesting. Miss Adderstone, from now on you will have a big new passion for," Molly looked around for inspirations, for airplanes and flying. Yes, that's it. You are going to learn to fly planes. And Edna, you will love Italian cooking and Italy even more. You'll love Italian fashion and Italian cars. Oh, and the language, of course, which you'll learn to speak. And from now on, both of you will be very nice to all children." Molly felt satisfied that she had been generous to everyone at Hardwick House. She clapped twice, and Miss Adderstone and Edna came out of their trances. Miss Adderstone started to sniff again. "Oh, you are so lucky, Molly, to be going on a plane," she said with a sob. "I've always wanted to fly." "Arrivederci, Molly," sniffled Edna. Molly helped Petula inside her traveling basket. "Goodbye, then," she said. She turned away, and the sounds of Miss Adderstone and Edna's wails faded as she stepped inside the terminal building. "Boy, oh boy," Molly said under her breath. "I'd like a ticket on the next plane to New York, please." The airline clerk peered over her desk at the small girl, whose chin was level with the top of the counter. "I'm sorry, but we can only sell tickets to passengers who are 16 and over." Molly took her sunglasses off, and her eyes beamed out irresistibly. "I am 16, Molly said, giving the woman her passport. The clerk suddenly saw a girl who was obviously at least 16. "Madam, of course, I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking properly. I do apologize, but I'm afraid it's too late to check in for the next flight. It is nearly finished boarding. It leaves in 20 minutes. Molly increased her eye voltage. "Oh, I don't know what's come over me today," the blue-suited woman said bewilderedly. "I am so sorry. For a VIP like you, madam, of course I can arrange everything. That'll be £450. Do you have any baggage?" "No." The woman took Molly's money and wrote a few details down before handing her a handwritten ticket and a boarding pass. "Please make your way as fast as you can to gate 25. Have a good trip." Molly hurried through the departure gates and up to the X-ray machines. After a good eye flash, the security guard let her pass through without checking her dog basket, and Molly padded past duty-free shops and down carpeted corridors. Just as Molly found gate 25, Professor Knockman arrived, sweating and panting, at the ticket desk. "Did a young girl just buy a ticket here?" he asked aggressively. "She would have bought it with cash." "Sir, we have hundreds of people buying tickets here every day," said the ticket clerk crisply. Yeah, Professor Knockman said rudely. "But a girl of 10 or so, Sir, we don't sell tickets to children. And besides, we don't divulge information like that." The telephone behind the desk rang, and the woman turned to answer it. The professor leaned forward and scanned a piece of paper in front of her, reading it upside down. There was a note of cash payment for a ticket to New York for an Molly Moon. "Give me a ticket to New York. I want to catch the 2000 flight." The woman looked down at her list and crossly covered it with her hand. "I'm afraid it's too late to board the plane. The gates have closed." Indeed they had. Molly had stepped onto the plane, the last passenger. Molly showed the flight attendant her economy ticket and flashed her eyes. First class, I think, she suggested, and was escorted to the first class compartment at the front of the plane. She put Petula, hidden in the basket, on the empty seat beside her. As Professor Knockman stamped and engaged, Molly, who was buckling her belt. As the security guard put his hand on the professor's shoulder, a flight attendant got Molly some orange juice. Professor Knockman had to make do with a ticket on the next plane to New York 5 hours later. The plane roared down the runway and took off into the darkening sky. Molly looked out the window. It was her first time on a plane, and she found the idea of being in a huge chunk of metal, flying metal, scary. Her hands began to get sticky and sweaty. But then she noticed how calm all the flight attendants were, and she felt a little bit better. She looked out the window again and watched the twinkling lights of the airport falling away as the plane climbed higher and higher. She looked to the west in the direction of Hardwick House. It was somewhere there, miles and miles away. Molly breathed a sigh of relief. It was good to be leaving. Hardwick House had nothing to offer her now, and somehow she was sure she'd see Rocky again. And then everything would be hunky-dory. Maybe she could hypnotize his family to adopt her too, or they could run away together and live out of suitcases. Molly's mind boggled when she thought of America. She'd seen it so often on television programs. Soon she'd be living the happy life that she'd been longing for. She wouldn't have to watch ads and pretend anything. Molly began to investigate the small television screen attached to her armrest. From the viewing gallery on the airport roof, Professor Knockman fumed as he saw the plane taking off. "Molly Moon," he muttered. "I'm on to you, Molly Moon." He twiddled the golden scorpion medallion that hung all around his neck. "So, you've got the book, eh? You learned a few tricks, eh? Well, ain't you a smart cookie? But not so smart that you covered your tracks. You better watch it, kiddo. I'm hot on your heels, and when I hook you, oh, you're really gonna wish you never laid eyes on that book at all." Alright, so that's the end of chapter 13. Once again, I would like to mention that Molly is kind of a monster at this point. Oh yeah, also another thing I forgot to mention. They got rid of Edna's accent. Like in the earlier chapters, they were just putting A on the end of everything she said, but now they're not. I wonder why they changed it. Anyway, seems she's gotten her Scottish accent back. So like I was saying, Molly seems to be a monster, okay? Like, you've heard it so many times, me saying it's horrible, it's bad. I'm not even going to go into detail anymore, but oh my lord, she should be in jail. Literally jail. What she's done is horrible. She's like handing out disabilities. And then like, everyone's been so mean to me. They deserve to be disabled and embarrassed and humiliated for the rest of their lives. Yeah, go Molly. And then we're all supposed to cheer for Molly. Like, yeah, Molly, woo, you do you. You were bullied You were bullied for... Okay, so I cannot believe what she did to Hazel Hackersley and the bullies. They lost their parents. Of course they're gonna bully people. They knew their parents and they lost them, and Molly thinks, oh, better give them a disability. She's like opera, you know, you get a disability, you get a disability, you get a disability. By disability, I mean like the hypnosis she's doing. Like every time you think about Molly Moon, you smack yourself in the head with whatever you're holding. Or with Miss Toadley, whenever you introduce yourself, you have to say, I am a horrible teacher. But the biggest is in Miss Adderstone. She destroyed Miss Adderstone. That's like literally erased her conscience with a new conscience. Isn't that murder? Anyway. Professor Knockman is a bad dude, and both of these are bad people. I don't know who I'm supposed to be cheering for. I'm honestly kind of cheering for Professor Knockman, but when he gets the book, he's probably going to be a lot worse with it. So let's just hope Molly loses the book, or she gets put in jail. And Rocky's like, what the heck, Molly? Why did you think that would be a good idea? Anyway, my prediction is that Molly goes to the U.S., she goes through a long line or something to find Rocky. And when she finds Rocky, she and Rocky are gonna get in a fight. And then Molly's gonna hypnotize him. And then Rocky and Molly are gonna try and fight Knockman. But then Professor Knockman is gonna be like, you know she hypnotized you, right? And Rocky's gonna be like, no, Molly would never do that. And then Molly turns out she did do that. Very specific, but I've read these kind of books before. I know how it ends. I'm a genius. End of the recording.